Hola mi gente, ¿qué tal? Bienvenidos a un nuevo vídeo. Hoy vengo a compartirles esta gran batalla. Se trata de BISU versus JAEDONG, actuales campeones de este año 2017, y es una batalla donde vas a ver mucha estrategia psicológica, vamos a aprender demasiado, vamos a ver muchas novedades ahora actualmente en mi canal. Y sin más interrupciones, comencemos y disfruten, por favor, disfruten conmigo. Va a estar excelente. Continuemos. Qué hermoso escenario, la firme. Bien hermoso el escenario. ¿Quién no quisiera estar ahí, verdad? Pero bueno.
It is time to start our best of five with JAEDONG versus BISU. Two of the, I would say, foremost influential people in Brutal Professional Gaming.
Algunos conocedores de la salud de JAEDONG dicen que está mal de la vista, ¿verdad? Sufre de la vista y bueno, esperemos que se recupere.
And you are about to see something quite spectacular, and this could be the last time we ever see something like this.
That's right. If you weren't familiar with this, in South Korea there is compulsory military service for all able-bodied young Korean men. Now, a lot of professional gamers postpone that since they want to continue their career onward, but eventually you do have to go back. And it's about 2 years, maybe a little bit over under 2 years. And that's a big hiccup in the professional gaming career of any professional gamer. And the fact that both of these guys may be having to go to the military very soon means there's a lot on the line for this match here tonight.
That's right, they've both been talking about going in 2018.
Aquí observamos a JAEDONG que está alistando la artillería. BISU representa el mejor Protoss y JAEDONG al mejor Surf. Actualmente 2017. Vamos a ver qué sucede. Ahí está el hombre, JAEDONG. Para que lo conozcan, aunque todos los asiáticos son la muerte, ¿no? Se parece muy poco. Vamos muchachos, vamos.
Someone who beat all of the big names, the most decisive player of his race ever to have existed, the greatest micro, the greatest macro, the greatest strategician. I mean, he's JAEDONG, and if you don't know who JAEDONG is, oh my god, I wish I were you so I could go back in time and relearn it. That's how epic he is.
And BISU, his opponent, is a player who revolutionized the matchup. We did not know that you could fast expand in Protoss versus Zerg until BISU mapped it out perfectly. And let's not forget, fast expanding is such a big feature in PvZ and Starcraft.
Los torneos actuales antes lo hacían con una especie de habitación cerrada para que no se escuche nada, solo el participante, ¿no?
Starcraft Remastered having a huge resurgence in Korea as well as around the rest of the world, but the Korean scene has really received some new blood, and these guys have been training hardcore, streaming every day, and they're going to be bringing us some great games.
Well, they've had a lot of knockdown battles in the past. I mean, when you get the best versus the best, what else are you really going to expect at that point? Cannot wait to see what they're both going to bust out here. Basically the quickest players from their race.
Let's
also keep in mind that JAEDONG's somebody who could disarm BISU right away. This has also been quite trendy in this matchup in general. BISU does like to do a lot of offensive gateway pushes into expanding, but we could see some more with cannons going first as well.
Traeré el café, muchachos.
This This is game number 1 in this PVZ. Introducing our players in the upper left, in the purple. Make some noise for BISU! And his opponent here in the bottom right. In the green, our Zerg player, he is JAEDONG!
Of course, that's BISU, the guy we saw before is JAEDONG, forgive us.
So, going into this game, we see it is a pylon over here at the natural expansion for BISU. Now there's still several options you can take from here. You can either try to make a gateway right away and try to rush. That's a little bit more trendy, especially in 2017 PVZ. There's also the option to make a forge and either just do a defensive play or cannon rush. But this is quintessential BISU. While this may look standard if you follow a lot of Starcraft 1 now, BISU is the person that proved that you could consistently do an opening like this with a pylon outside of your main, not in the middle of the map, but at your natural, and actually safely defend pretty much everything.
Well, here he's throwing down that forge, so with the second pro coming out, there is always the possibility of something like that cannon rush, but here we see that JAEDONG is getting the pull first, so not very likely to see that out of BISU coming up.
So, the probe is down here to try to block the drone. It looks like one of these two guys is going to have to turn around. Whoa! Okay, so that was split second there with who was actually going to win initially in that fight. I was wondering if JAEDONG was going to pull away in time, but he takes out that first drone. It is going to be a Nexus first, like we were saying earlier. There is the option to do some kind of cannon rushing, but I believe Zerg went pull first here. Yes, he did, yes. So that would not be possible.
Okay, so by the way, guys, you can see the APM on the screen. These guys have both been professional gamers for many years, playing at these ridiculous speeds, almost 400 APM for JAEDONG at the moment.
Van 2 minutos con 36.
Over that right now. I mean, that is lightning fast, and I tell you, we have stood behind these guys, watched them in first person, and it is a magnificent thing to behold the speed of a StarCraft 1 pro gamer.
That's right. Now, Zerg has two options to break it down to the basics here. Zerg's either going to try to get a quick kill here or try to push in, because even though cannons do a lot of damage, they also die very quickly. So you have the right number of Hydralisks or Zerglings. You can end up taking out that fast expand. I think that would be ill-advised to try against BISU. JAEDONG may instead try to go for more of a macro play. We see
bueno, ambos tienen expansiones. Excelente. 3,15. JAEDONG tiene 2. Para la principal 3 bases. 3 hatcheries.
Yeah, this definitely could turn into something like a 3 hatch Hydra, which is a super aggressive all-in type of move.
Observen, buena encerrada para un Protoss. Sí o sí te tienes que expander, porque si no lo haces, la producción es muy baja para el Protoss al inicio. O sea, el retraso es demasiado. Por eso es factible que uno se expanda a inicios, siempre con la raza Protoss. O sea, BISU está haciendo un buen trabajo. Capacidad 26 a 34 la raza Protoss y raza Zerg 19 a 26. Minuto 04,10 aproximadamente, ¿no?
Yeah, that's really interesting to see that that's what BISU wants to open up with. You know, the very most standard type of play that you can see in a PVZ would be a Zerg possibly going for a quick Spire. Of course, the Stargate going to come up for Protoss to pick off some Overlords, get that scouting intel after the probe dies, and, you know, defend against possible Mutalisks.
Observamos el primer silo. Ya se dio cuenta que tiene una segunda expansión. Ahora tiene que evitar, ¿no?, que el silo haga presencia. Viene otro silo más. O sea, son 2 silos en camino. Bueno, uno en camino, no sean 2. Interesante, mira, evita que su Zergling pueda morir. Bueno, por una parte lo veo algo algo torpe, ¿no? Porque estás mandando de silo del silo, ya va a perder ya prácticamente 2 unidades terrestres. Bueno, ya. Representa el mejor Procos 2017. Espero que haga un buen trabajo.
That's right. A few more links are taken out here. It is peculiar that BISU actually went for a star game after the unusual. So we might want to keep our eyes peeled for that and see if there's going to be any deviation from a normal tech craft. It appears to be Corsair DT. It looks like he's getting +1 air weapons here for the Corsairs. The Spire's going to finish around the same time as when the Corsair arrives there. And Scourge are the initial hard counter for Corsairs until you get enough of them to shut down Scourge as they try to approach.
Yeah, you know, normally you get about 4 Scourge to chase away those Corsairs. In the meantime, BISU will be falling around, checking out some overlords, scout what's going on as well. But we should see a DT on the map pretty soon as well, shouldn't we? Oh, there it is, headed towards the 3rd base.
Now let's take a quick check over here at the 3rd as well as the natural. We have 1 overlord over here.
Vamos a ver qué sucede.
It looks like that DT's actually going to come in.
Ya se dio cuenta ya.
Nothing over here to spot, but it looks like BISU decides to go to this location right now. The links are coming down. Goes around here on that DT.
No, man, no.
Victory for JAEDONG.
Just like defense thus far. Oh, the Scourge going after this first Corsair. You catch it. That is a big advantage for the Circle. BISU turning and running towards his home, only getting hit by 1.
He's going to manage to make it back in good condition. It looks like the other Corsair is also
7 minutos de la batalla.
Here, and he does. However, JAEDONG does save those Scourge. We're now stacked up to 4 Corsairs here. Meanwhile, 1 DT coming in here. There's no links to defend. The drones
drones, claro, la productividad.
DT get 1 shot. A drone easily. The drone's now being evacuated.
Oh, some good kills already by that DT, catching 3, causing some lost mining time. Now going up into the main base, there is an overlord here, but no.
El APM, como puedes observar, está oscilando entre 370 a 470, ¿no? Algo así, hasta 500 de APM saben llegar tus muchachos. Perfecto con la producción. Te bajaste bastantes drones. No me gusta que mande así a las unidades a morir. ¿Qué pasa con BISU?
He will squeeze 1 probe into the back, group that probe with the Corsairs. That makes the Corsairs bunch up even more.
Well, the Corsairs kind of going around the map right now, seeing what they can get done. Once you get up to a nice number like this, 5 with that +1 attack, they're going to 2-shot Scourge. So definitely they become a little bit stronger. But with this many Hydras out, really BISU has to be very careful.
That's right. It seems like JAEDONG wants to try to put some pressure up here. Again, with those DTs coming out, the High Templars are just a little bit further behind. We see cannons being made right away. The Corsairs now coming in, trying to kill off some Overlords to hopefully supply block JAEDONG. Meanwhile, a big attack over here at the entrance.
Las hidras es un problema por el rango. Vamos a ver qué sucede.
The Zealots now spilling forward, out of range of the cannons. The Hydras now kiting backwards. It looks like BISU may want to try to back up if more Hydras do reinforce.
A lot of damage being dealt to these front Hydras, but there are enough. Some nice micro there by JAEDONG, kiting his Hydralisk, picking off quite a few of the Zealots, but with those cannons, I don't think BISU's going to be broken.
If you notice the supply right now, JAEDONG is supply blocked, so those Corsairs killed some Overlords while that attack was happening.
Bueno, se bajó un par de Overlord, está bien. Retrasa bastante a las unidades terrestres, ¿no?
This is one way that JAEDONG can slowly try to slow BISU down.
La producción se queda estancada.
Those Zealots trying to hold position. He doesn't want to lose any of them right now. The Corsairs running home, getting away over those Hydralisks, running from the Scourge still, while some High Templars are being produced for Psystorm.
Right now there are 5 gateways up here, soon to be 4, as JAEDONG just now takes on the last gateway. But production from BISU is looking very good. Very soon here, Protoss is going to have a lot more explosivity on the map with Psionic Storm, with his Zealots already with an attack upgrade and the speed upgrade. The Corsairs to back them up. JAEDONG is going to have to be ready for that. And coming up here is going to be the moment that BISU will probably...
Nos acercamos a los 10 minutos de la batalla, muchachos. 10 minutos. A ver qué pasa.
This Zealot Templar army becomes very, very powerful. Now the Corsairs flying down towards this 3rd. So the Scourge actually do connect.
Bien.
So he loses a Corsair there, but still he's got 5 with +1, which is quite strong.
Defensive play here from BISU, having the Zealots just move through this area to make sure there's no spotterlings He wants to get cannons on this high ground. Having control of a high ground, especially at a small ramp, it's insane how many units you can actually hold off from that position. JAEDONG may allow BISU
¿Se
to
dio
take
cuenta de la
this first
expansión?
base since it might be too risky if he tries to come in and deny this. Although it appears that JAEDONG might be trying to poke in or at least check and confirm that this base is already being taken.
Well, the Zealots sitting on top of the ramp. The Hydra's trying to break through right now, but that Psy Storm coming down. A very nice one, hitting the Hydras, really weakening them and forcing them back.
When you're going for Hydra play in this phase of the game, it's really all about the control of the Hydralisks. If you're very good, you can eke out way more damage than normal.
Es un gran apoyo cuando tienes los High Templar contra los Hidraliscos. Mueren rápidamente.
But that is way too much on the high ground to really break through. The Hydra's coming up, trying to micro, but if a Psy Storm hits that big clump, that is a massive amount of damage against which BISU could move out.
This is an incredibly ambitious play here by JAEDONG to skirt around the outside of the base. But so far, he hasn't really suffered any losses. If we could just get a check on how many hatcheries the Zerg has back inside of
Capacidad proto 125 a 146, capacidad ser de 93 a 94. O sea, necesita sacar más Overlock, mi querido amigo JAEDONG. Es que se bajan los Overlock con los corsarios a cada rato.
Oh, it's so true. The Psy Storm is really kind of the meat and potatoes of your army. Everything else is buffering so you can get that massive splash damage down. Now with the Lurkers coming out, Zerg has his own splash, and of course we did see before a Queen's Nest on the way for JAEDONG, so the Hive will be incoming as well.
Yeah, JAEDONG right now powering up. There's also one expansion being taken at the bottom left. This is unusual for as far as where you would expand in this matchup. Normally it's at another natural. That means JAEDONG's trying to be sneaky rather than playing.
3 expansiones más la principal 4. Muy bien.
Wants to gear up with a Lurker contained. We'll see how many more Lurkers he adds here. But spreading out these Lurkers means he wants to get the Protoss boxed in instead of trying to turtle back in his own base.
It's definitely really hard to run out and do any damage against that with the Great Concave. But now with these Dragoons, he's going to push forward here. We don't see any Overlords to snipe off observers, so he should be able to push back the Lurkers.
Okay, he's trying to micro back those Lurkers with the Dragoon targeting. Very good here. The Scourge coming in to try to hit
los guachos, los hilos.
Overlord inside.
The Zealots are pushing forward. A great Psy Storm goes down as well. Only a few Hydras and Lurkers left over. So it looks like BISU should be able to clean this up. He's got to move those observers forward though.
Okay, the observers now over these Lurkers. This means this is a huge win here for BISU. JAEDONG has lost control of the map. The bottom left is exposed if BISU manages to find it. And the fact that those Lurkers were not sent back, let's say he was turtling a natural and trying to make a bunch of sunken colonies, this means that JAEDONG is very fragile at this phase of the game. BISU could definitely try to come in here with a kill move.
Suddenly, complete map control goes to BISU, even adding in some Archons to this army, continuing to get upgrades as well. JAEDONG setting up for possibly a counterattack there with that little group of Zerglings, but BISU is sniffing it out immediately as he checks up here to possibly take a fourth base.
I like this play here by BISU. What he's doing is being very, very cautious. He says, okay, you don't really have that many opportunities on the map. He's been scouting pretty well with the Corsairs. He's just going to take his fourth base. He's going to turtle up, it looks like probably for a little bit longer, get cannons there, and then start to pressure the Zerg.
Now with the shuttle up, BISU can start some harassment as well, something he is so well known for. Unfortunately, losing a few Corsairs there in the center of the map, but that's okay. With an Archon and Dragoons out, there's no chance of a Mutalisk switch here for JAEDONG.
Okay, so the next is being made, but the push is coming out. Now, BISU's trying to fish out some of the army for the Zerg so he can pick a fight here in the middle of the map. He juked down to the bottom left and is now headed towards the natural over here. He's trying to find if there's any way that the Zerg army's out of position. Remember, you have only so many units on the control group, so every time you force them to reposition, you're chewing up a lot of their APM.
Bien.
Now, look at this control from BISU right now.
Capacidad proto 179 a 187, capacidad y de los Zerg 112 a 87, se bajó un montón de Overlords. Minuto de la batalla 14:47. Muy bien.
He's going to try to come in now. Storms again on the legs. Only a few Lurkers remaining, one subject colony. I think that JAEDONG might not actually have enough with the observers plentiful enough to take out any cloaked units here. This may be the beginning of the end. A lot of Hydras popping out of that. He's trying to deal some extra damage, but all the Lurkers
Numbers being picked off, not enough units to really buffer for them to get their damage worth, and BISU just flooding into the natural.
BISU coming in now, the Hydrogen about to be taken out, not enough lurkers.
Estructura las hidras, por favor, bájate esa estructura para que yo no saque.
Getting on top of these Hydras as they pop out, those sunken colonies going to be a little bit too late. A lot of the tech and macro starting to be picked off here. Lings rallying in from the side, but will it be enough? No.
Bien.
GG called by JAEDONG.
Bien, BISU, bien.
BISU will take game number 1.
Very impressive play there by BISU. It was interesting to see that JAEDONG took that main to the bottom left. That looked like it was a GBT almost, getting the Nidus network set up there. I think JAEDONG was more confident he would be able to utilize the Hydralisks more in the early game, and then when that didn't work, he thought he could at least set up a contain there. But at the right moment, BISU broke out. And generally, if Zerg go for a contain, where they try to lock in the Protoss from moving out, and that contain is broken, usually the Zerg is going to lose.
Yeah, they are really pushed back at that point, and then the mobile Protoss army can run rampant over the map, which is exactly what we saw BISU doing there. You know, I thought it was kind of interesting. He didn't really get Overlord speed. He didn't have Overlords there to pick off observers to protect those lurkers for the contain.
Now, in this next game, I'm wondering what exactly is JAEDONG going to do to mix it up. We saw BISU with a pretty middle-of-the-road build, definitely testing the waters against JAEDONG. JAEDONG, of course, always has the option, assuming that the Protoss goes for a fast expand, which is pretty much standard in Brood War. The Zerg always has the option to go for an all-in or a quick kill. But of course, if that doesn't work, then he's down 0-2, and I can't imagine JAEDONG being able to bounce back.
It's tough indeed to do a reverse all-kill against the best Protoss there ever was. The guy who invented how to play Protoss for a Zerg. Doesn't seem too likely, but if someone can do it, it is this man right here, JAEDONG himself.
In that last game, BISU really abusing his Corsairs. If you remember that Hydralisk attack, it looked pretty scary right when it was outside the entrance of the Protoss' base, but BISU got in there and killed off the Overlords to supply block the Zerg. The Zerg was not able to reinforce, and that was huge. And that's really what BISU is able to leverage there, is because all the attacking units were at the Protoss' base, there was no easy way to protect the Overlords, and therefore to game number 2.
Bueno, viene la segunda. A ver.
Introducing our player.
1-0, ¿verdad? Los protos vamos a la cabeza.
He is JAEDONG.
Observa, el APM está oscilando entre 490, ponle 500 de APM.
He is BISU.
Se prende demasiado, ¿verdad?
Our map is going to be Crossing Fields, a kind of newer map for Starcraft Remastered. One that is seeing a lot of play, though, within the professional scene in South Korea.
That's right. This is a map where, of course, you know your opponent's starting location, so it's a lot harder.
Bueno, en este mapa yo veo que tiene unas rampas enormes. Es una gran ventaja para BISU como Protoss.
It's a map where the Protoss also gets 3 bases very easily. A lot of times in PvZ you're trying to push out for a third. In this case, it's definitely doable. It's also a map that gets cut in half a lot of the time.
Yeah, that is certainly true. Once you get on that high ground, a lot of great Zerg players will just kind of siege up in a way, burrow a bunch of lurkers, hold the high ground with some Hydras on top of those, maybe some Scourge flying around as well. But of course, BISU is a master of map control. Once he gets out there, his army is going to move around in such ways that it's really hard to contain him.
So if we notice in the Protoss' main here, if we can get a quick shot of it, that's a pylon in the main. That's not really that normal. Usually, you can have it down at the bottom of the ramp. It's also not right by the ramp. Can we get a shot just south of this here, at the ramp? Just barely.
Ah, claro, la expansión. Observa, ¿no? La expansión está dando con 14 a 17 de capacidad. Nuestro amigo BISU está bien. Los Zerg, bueno, son ya 2 expansiones, ¿no? Capacidad 12 a 17. Hablamos del minuto 02 con 20.
Yeah, it's having a high ground advantage while taking an expand is really nice. It's much harder to break a ramp in StarCraft 1 than it is in StarCraft 2. It's almost comical. If you're on the high ground, just a few cannons and something there to block, maybe something there with like a Templar with Sidestorm, it's generally ill-advised for a Zerg to try to push up that. So Zerg may take this game in a different direction and try to expand and power up much more quickly.
Well, those 3 bases being taken by JAEDONG, throwing down his cooling gas, starting to get ready to tech up a little bit. Of course, BISU will just utilize Zealots for his early defense. No need to cannon when you have a ramp kind of guarding all of your bases.
And we have the Cybernetics Core coming up here now, and the fact that he didn't have to get a Forge means he's going to get his tech up a little bit more quickly, which changes the whole rhythm of this game. Will he get a Stargate? It's definitely a high probability, but there are other options for Protoss as well. Let's not forget in the last game, BISU went with an unusual timing of Citadel to tech into DTs very quickly before the Stargate, so that JAEDONG might be caught off guard by how soon the DT gets there.
And truthfully, he was. That DT ended up getting something like 7 or 8 drone kills. So that's actually really, really significant. Unlike Zerg in StarCraft 2, in StarCraft 1 you're actually playing with less drones than your opponent might have probes or SCVs. It's just the balance of the economy is quite a bit different.
Very true. So every time you kill any drones, that Zerg player is in a lot of trouble. BISU, going back into BISU's main, he will be choosing that definitive tech here, and it is going to be a Stargate, which is not surprising. This is sort of your bread and butter. Protoss tech versus Zerg. You want to get the Corsairs out. Of course you can kill overlords with it, but it also allows you to scout and try to monitor what the Zerg's doing. This was a big problem in PvZ in general that Protoss has had to grapple with for years in Brood Wars, trying to figure out what Zerg is doing, because Zerg had so many different directions they could take the game. And then of course Protoss has had to figure out when they get the Corsair out and scout around and poke with it, what then do you tech with to keep you safe? Because you're investing a lot of your gas in a unit that doesn't fight Hydras, it doesn't fight Blades.
And kind of interesting that you mention that, because right now, with that quick layer and the 3 hatches, there's a Hydralisk Den already, as well as that Spire out. So going up to the Spire, but having the Hydralisk Den, do you think he has any special plans for this, Tasteless?
We will have to see. It's going to see how, it depends on how he reacts to the Corsairs. It gives him some options, right? The layer allows him to go for lurkers if he wanted to do that. I don't think that would be an ideal play. He could, of course, try to snipe the Corsair with the Scourge and then try to surprise him, tech it into mutas. That's one way to play, but it doesn't always pan out that well. Or he may just try to hatch up. We see him adding another one here right now, starting to throw down Evolution Chambers and just bring us into a pretty standard ZVP. As far as the Protoss goes, he is getting more gateways. He's getting +1 attack without having to have spent money on those cannons right away at the start of the game. And he'll have a much more robust Zealot army coming out here.
Yeah, both sides really kind of pushing their economies forward, being as greedy as possible and teching up quickly. So it looks like, hopefully at least, we'll get into kind of a big macro game on this map. Definitely can be very exciting with all the different paths around.
That's right. Protoss has some choices. They can power up and try to deny the fourth here for the Zerg. They can also try to steadily move out and just try to secure their own third. It's going to depend on when and where JAEDONG wants to expand. The Corsairs are still just continuing to move out, looking for any stray overlords, but also just checking to see if there's any spotters here on the map. And for JAEDONG, he really doesn't have much of anything on the map. He's turtled up pretty heavily.
Yeah, that's very true. And checking for these overlords is kind of an extra safety move as well. If there's no overlords near you and you have Dark Templar tech, the Zerg can't really attack you until they have overlord speed. So this kind of Corsair movement is going to make BISU feel very safe as he moves out now with these Zealots.
And let's not forget, this is a different opener than what BISU did in the last game. It may look the same due to the unit composition, but he got here in a very different fashion. These Zealots are now going to come out here on the map.
A ver qué pasa.
Of course, this was with no DT, so this is much more of a powerhouse, getting the Zerg space built versus trying to sneak in. And JAEDONG is basically turtled up perfectly. These Zealots can't really get in there.
Yeah, those Zealots are actually much stronger than the small army JAEDONG has, but with this type of building layout and those 2 Sunkens finishing up, this is a great wall in and something you don't want to attack with melee units.
So we saw him in an Evolution Chamber there at the entrance. That completely tightened up and blocked that out. And then when the Zealots backed off, he canceled it. So that was just enough time for a second Sunken Colony to finish up. These are very tight builds these guys are doing. And since BISU realizes he's probably not going to be able to put any real pressure on his opponent, he goes ahead and expands while keeping these Corsairs bunched up.
Yeah, I'm loving this play out of BISU right now, just kind of getting his bases and upgrades.
Capacidad 88, no, capacidad 86 para Protoss, capacidad para los Zerg 58 a 77, minuto 07 con 45.
Some Hydras over here in the back. Note the Corsairs might not spot that right away. They're continuing to try to move around the map and see if there's anything stray that JAEDONG has left out. JAEDONG playing a much more conservative game, by the way, in comparison to game one. He actually wants this game to go to a super late one.
Yeah, it definitely is looking that way. Now look at this harassment from the Corsairs. Coming right in and picking off some of these overlords despite the fact that he's gotten speed.
Con dos overlock, excelente.
Okay, so he
a ver si te bajas dos más.
And the Corsairs didn't see that much, and now he's going to barrel forward. He has Overlord speed. He may be trying to come in here and bust down the expansion that BISU is trying to take. This is a very sneaky attack because the Corsairs were unable to scout the majority of these Hydras. Some of the Zealots getting caught as they move into the center of the map. Will BISU be able to hold on at this point? Definitely enough Hydras to kill off these Zealots. They have a slight hyper edge right here, so some shots going to be missed. The Corsairs coming down, trying to erase these Overlords out of existence, but every Zealot looks like it's gonna fall.
Observemos la capacidad 74 a 106 de Protoss, de los Zerg sería 63 con 69, minuto 08 con 55, ¿no? Claro, unos 9 minutos ya. A ver qué sucede. No tiene Overlock, Dark Templar aprovecha. Muy bien. Entonces Dark Templar está quedada la hora. Retrocede, hermano. Efectivo los Corsarios. Es una buena técnica. Con Dark Templar no puede ser nada.
To buy the time for his cannons, to get the DT out, to have 2 side storms ready. Almost anyone else in the world would have died immediately to this rush from JAEDONG.
Así atrasa demasiado.
One more time. Overlord still bruised. Now it's Zealots and an Archon coming forward here. Any Hydras he can isolate, he will. He sees the Overlords, he tries to back up. Corsairs are eager to try to intercept. Scourge are eager to try to intercept these Corsairs. Right now, BISU has to hang on. If he loses his third base, he will lose the game. Oh, the Scourge actually connects with quite a few of those Corsairs, so that's kind of a good thing for JAEDONG as the game goes longer. But as he pokes in again to that front, he realizes no way, no how is it worthwhile to attack into those cannons. Yeah, especially
bien con el aguante, bien con el aguante.
The combination of cannons and Templars, it stops Hydras from ever penetrating that expansion. And so, JAEDONG's expanding on this. He may try to still stay out of the front and try to harass the one lone Corsair.
Sigue hostigando con los Corsarios.
And in some ways, one of the bigger stories about that whole interaction was the fact that the Corsairs were all taken out. That is a really big deal.
Demasiada inversión en Overlock. Como puedes observar, los Corsarios son bien efectivos. Baja la productividad del Zerg. Empezaré a hacer eso. Se aprende mucho acá en estos videos de torneo.
This is a very BISU move. He does not like to have no Corsairs in the air. If you end up losing all of them, then a sudden meterless tech switch can just give the game to the Zerg player. So he's being very careful about replenishing his stock.
¿Lo intimida o no? A ver, ¿qué dicen ustedes?
So he's not going to bring them out until he has enough, which may mislead JAEDONG here. JAEDONG now moving out. He's got his Overlords here in his Hydras. He's trying to stay away from the Templars while still kiting these Zealots and the Archon. The 2 High Templars coming up right now. The Psy Storm is super crucial for this engagement. The Hydras turn around. Some good micro coming out of JAEDONG here. Oh, a nice storm comes down, but he pulls out of it, not losing too many Hydras. Meanwhile, in the main, killing as many drones as possible. It was brought there by the shuttle. Already 10 kills. Oh, JAEDONG does not even realize what's going on right now. You do not get a warning when TTs are launching on your drones, and a huge amount of economy being taken out instantly. So many of BISU's games look
Bájate la producción, vamos, dale, sin miedo.
The DT coming into the main has caused a huge amount of economic damage.
Vale.
That was 14 or 15 drones being taken out. It is a completely unacceptable error here by JAEDONG. BISU on top of his most.
Observamos que la capacidad de los Protoss van de 126 a 139 y los Zerg a 89,94. Minuto 12 con 20. No está mal. Sigue el hostigamiento con corsarios a Overlord. Muy bien. Y ahora pues. Ahora pues. Que suenen los cueros, que suenen los cueros, muchachos. Hace falta ahí Templar, muy bien. Bien.
Very big move right there. Once you pick off those observers, you cannot engage that many lurkers with a Zealot-based army. So BISU runs around right now, trying to look for another angle to do some damage.
It looks like JAEDONG may have turtled up enough. He also might try to actually jump in. BISU could try to jump into the natural now. It's hard for him to tell what's actually there and if he can penetrate any of these locations. But BISU going the more conservative route.
Y empezó a dominar el mapa BISU.
To the bottom left location. And keep in mind, there are not a lot of bases on this map. After this base is taken, there are only 4 available expansions on the map, 2 of which are in the middle, and they're basically uncomfortable for either player to take.
Yeah, those bases are super hard to take. Being on the low ground, you have a ridge behind you where your opponent can attack. They can attack downhill into you. So realistically, we are seeing them take almost every base that is truly takeable in the matchup. So this generally is pretty good for the Pros player, especially considering just looking at the supply, looking at the battles that we've had so far.
As we see now, BISU's moving out again. He's very close to getting maxed out. In case you're surprised by how low JAEDONG is in supply, that's actually not that abnormal for this matchup. Zerg, when they get maxed out, is the scariest thing really you could experience in Starcraft Brood War. So he's able to turtle up and hang on for a while.
Ya la capacidad ha aumentado, como puedes observar. Vamos a 176, a 187 con BISU, raza Protoss, JAEDONG, raza Zerg, a 107 a 135, minuto 14 con 40. El aproximado, uy, ahí viene con todo.
BISU now backing up. JAEDONG wants to take control of this high ground out here. Storm's blanketing the area. We're still waiting to see if BISU can actually get up in this location. He's done a very good job of keeping all of his observers alive. Now Dragoons and Templars will counter lurkers, so JAEDONG needs to get reinforcements over here fast.
But BISU has to be a little bit careful as well as he runs out of splash damage, as he runs out of Zealots. The Dragoons can have a little bit of a hard time against the Zerg units. It looks like he still wants to attack, but as JAEDONG rallies out more and attacks from the high ground...
Viene otra tropa más, otra tropa de apoyo terrestre. Un par de silots más, unos silots. A ver qué pasa. Le hace falta un par de corsarios, ¿verdad? ¿Qué sucede?
Lurkers are burrowing up. This is a pretty nice arc setup here by JAEDONG, but with the number of Dragoons, it's going to be tough even for them to try to hold on.
Oh, with these Zealots coming through as well, the spines of these Lurkers are going in every which way direction. The Hydra's starting to deal some damage to these Dragoons, but BISU might retract nicely.
More Templars are coming up, only 3 Lurkers here to try to defend. A storm goes down, bringing the Lurker count to 1.
Oh man, JAEDONG does not have much left over right here. This expansion is so important for me. Must hold on. Lurkerling rallying up right now, trying to burn these Lurkers. Some great side storms coming down, and suddenly Dark Swarms hit the field.
The Dark Swarms are planted down there, meaning the Dragoons can no longer combat the Lurkers, but BISU's not stopping. He now rotates down here into the middle. The One Defiler continuing to consume links to get enough Dark Swarms. Can JAEDONG hold on? He needs some more Dark Swarms right now.
The Dark Swarms go down, but Zealots can fight toe-to-toe against Zerglings underneath them. The Lurkers rushing down right now. BISU blocking the first one from getting under. Blocking possibly another one here as well.
La capacidad, hay una gran diferencia en su capacidad de personal. GG. Bien, BISU, bien.
Making this series so far 2-0. JAEDONG has come back 3 wins in a row, and that's a tall over the place. Let's go into game number 3.
A ver, vamos por la tercera, muchachos.
In the upper right, in the white, he is JAEDONG! And his opponent here in the bottom left, in the orange, make some noise for BISU!
Our map here, an old favorite of many a Brood War player. It is Blue Storm.
Bueno,
Two-player map with
se observa BISU a las 7 AM en punto, ¿no? En el mapa, y a las 13 horas tenemos a JAEDONG. BISU va a 2 victorias, 2-0. Deseo mucha suerte a nuestro amigo JAEDONG, que representa a los CERC. Vamos a ver.
So there's a lot of interesting decisions you're going to have to make on Blue Storm in the mid game.
Vamos a ver qué pasa.
Yeah, this is again that little location we see just down there. That area, it changes everything depending on how the players are playing. There are so many fun, different games you can have depending on who clogs that up with what unit, or who leaves that open for his opponent to try to slip through.
And there's so many little tricks as well, right? Like, for instance, you can try to run through there with a group of speed zealots later on to harass, but the Zerg player can do things like morph an egg right there, try to use some walling measures. Another thing to mention is when you're trying to attack move your opponent, you really have to be careful about where you're issuing these commands. It takes a lot of commands to get a big bulky army to move around this map without getting stuck.
Protoss right now is going to go for a quick expand. If we could just take a look at the oh, hold on. Nice tonight. If you can get over there one more time. This is really a big game of chicken here. So he does actually drive the probe back. He actually gets a kill. Nicely done there with the moving shot on the drum. So back to the Protoss is natural. The location of that forge.
02.22, expansión para tanto JAEDONG y BISU están ahí nomás, capacidad de 13-17 con Protoss, capacidad de 14-17 con los CERC.
And every map a Protoss player has to figure out exactly how to wall in to stop everything the Zerg could throw at him. And this is probably one of the more common wall-ins we see on a map like this. Even though it looks very different from any other map we've casted so far, this is basically the correct way to do it. But this is also one of the harder locations to hold no matter what for Protoss, even early game.
You're definitely right about that. Look at this, the Zerglings come through. He's trying to stall him out with his probe so that he can finish up. So as it finishes, you can definitely keep those Zerglings back a little bit more. The probes are out here to help block Zerglings, to mess up their AI, make sure that he can't just run in and surround the cannon or run by or anything like that.
Exactly. It looks like Dan's going to try to do that anyways. Come in here now. The probes, but they are going to be picked up. He can try to run into the main. He does. 4 legs on the loose.
Oh, this is a huge moment right now for JAEDONG. He does not have Zergling speed, nor does he have it on the way. But these 4 Zerglings are so tough to kill off for a Protoss player.
So, what the Protoss wants to do is try to have his workers stacked up.
¿Cuántos probes podrás bajarte, JAEDONG?
What JAEDONG's trying to do is come in here, and sometimes he actually attacks, other times he fakes it out. And he actually gets 1 kill. If he can just get 1 kill in the leg, he does that too. Now down to 2 legs. A little bit of a misplay here by JAEDONG.
He does kill 2 probes though, so that's pretty good so far, but definitely he wants to keep these lings alive as long as possible. Even when a zealot comes out, the lings are just a bit quicker. They can run away from everything. Another probe going down.
No está mal.
Great micro there by JAEDONG.
This one probe over here just trying to harass the drone there of JAEDONG. It looks like he's going to go ahead and send scout inside the main. But JAEDONG's going to make sure that those 2 Zerglings inside of the main base of BISU are going to stay alive for as long as possible. And this really taxes the APM for BISU. This is much easier for JAEDONG than it is for BISU to try to defend.
No está mal.
It almost catches that one. An important thing to note is that the second scouting probe died for BISU. So now he doesn't really know what's going on. This could be mass lanes, it could be going to hydras. It's hard to say, but in fact it's going to be just a quick layer.
Capacidad Protoss de BISU 26,26, un par de pylon no estaría mal en el momento. JAEDONG CERC 22,27, minutos 04,55 aproximadamente.
Because you feel very spread out. At the same time, the Protoss also feels a bit naked on this map as well, as there's so many different locations they can moved in at and harassed at. Again, the 1 leg still remaining alive. This leg is just going to be used to try to monitor anything that might
demasiado piñón, ¿no? El ingreso en este mapa.
Trying to block out on Zergling, and we do get confirmation that it is going to be a Stargate opening, unless BISU decides to cancel after the Zergling is killed.
Well, the Zergling doesn't look like it's dying yet, so I think we'll see that Stargate probably finish up. The Sellout going ahead and killing a few of the Lings in the middle, but oh, he finally picks off the Zergling here.
Stargate continuing on the way here. The Zerg is just trying to intercept any of these Zealots.
Cómo se comen
wants
al
to try to put
Sila.
on pressure, but if JAEDONG catches
No
these
lo
Zealots
dejan
and
hacer
traps them,
nada.
the amount of damage itself is huge. I mean, it means BISU's big army that he wants to push out with later on is going to be that much smaller.
Now, quite a few Speedlings are out right now, and these are really, really dangerous, especially because Blue Storm has that kind of funky wall. So if he can get in here and surround the cannon, look at this, BISU pulling the probes out right now. He gets his Zealots in front as well. So far, very strong defense.
More Lings on the way right now. The Zealot goes
Uy,
down.
uy.
The probes have to get a proper block, or this expansion could fall.
He needs to keep that cannon alive. Really, it's his only damage right now. The Zerglings, though, they take it out, trying to pick off some probes here as well. JAEDONG with the decisive Zergling attack.
Se bajó tu expansión, ya fuiste, men.
And with no pylon remaining, we do have a Zealot doing some harass over here, but back at home, the expansion is still exposed. The Nexus could go down.
Se baja la expansión, ya fuiste, BISU.
The one Zealot and all of these probes to try to get a good block here and take out these Lings.
The Zealot ends up falling, which means these probes are going to be eaten in seconds. And
GG.
JAEDONG takes game number 3.
Muy bien. Muy bien, muchachón.
Now allowing BISU to get to the phase of the game where BISU's at its strongest. And
Vale.
I can't emphasize this enough.
Bueno, van 2-1, ¿no? Vamos a ver qué pasa en esta batalla más. Y tiene que haber un desempate, sí o sí.
And in the upper left, in the brown, he is BISU!
For map number 4, which is of course match point for BISU. If he wins this, he wins it all. We are going to
2-1.
Talcross, a 3-player map, and of course another one of the big favorites of the old Starcraft 1 scene. Takes us anything in particular we should be watching out for in a PvC on this map?
Well, this is a map where it's a little bit tricky to get your natural up, even though it's a tight area. There's a lot of weird abusive stuff Zerg can do to you on here. You can end up with a Protoss being so boxed in because of the way the wall it is and the fact that it's close to the Nexus that it's then hard to get out. There's also the fact that the third base is wide open. So this may be a map that JAEDONG is very comfortable with. A lot of times you see Protoss go to great feats to clog everything up so Zerglings can't get in, but then there's this huge problem where it's really, you can be contained with just Hydralisks.
Yeah.
and it's not easy to get out. So let's definitely watch for that, or we may see BISU try to play around that.
Alright, it'll be interesting to see how he wants to approach his scouts into JAEDONG first, so of course that's a best case scenario here for BISU. Gonna go ahead and throw down that forge for his Nexus, playing it a little bit safe.
There's also some tricky cannon rush stuff you can do here. I doubt we're going to see it, as cannon rush has pretty much been mapped out and solved. Very nice denial there, by the way. You can block the hatchery from being made.
Yo que tú le pongo un pylon ahí. Yo le pondría un pylon, Franco, para que no se expanda.
Just in the second, the last possible second.
Bueno.
Now let's see if he does anything cheeky here. No, looks like the probe will just go into the main base. That little choke that goes out into your expansion area, you can put a pylon there.
Es el criterio de cada jugador, muchachos.
Something that JAEDONG was looking out for. Now with the Zerglings out, really not afraid of anything.
That's right. We do see the cannon coming up here now. The next thing Protoss will need to add is a gateway and Vespian gas geyser. And from there, we will have the tech begin to be unpacked. We do want to watch and see if JAEDONG is going to try to go for a quick kill. Usually if the Protoss is good, you won't die to any insane rush. But sometimes players do things that are counterintuitive to the top tier players because one player might discount that as a possibility.
Oh, certainly. That
Justo
could be a great way to
Volcano.
throw someone off guard if they're expecting you to play a certain way. That's kind of the poker-like aspect of Starcraft 1
O sea, un
and
ser
Starcraft
profesional,
2.
como
Switching
puedes
things up,
observar,
playing those very
al
important
inicio
items.
estamos minuto 03 con 20.
JAEDONG continuing to mine
Ella
gas
tiene dos
right now.
expansiones
You can't see
ya.
the layer started up just yet.
JAEDOng,
He will need
un
to
ser
get Zergling speed
escucha
here.
uno.
as he does want to have links that are fast enough that he can basically kill a probe as
Es
soon
un
as
buen
he sees
inicio.
it.
Si tú eres Serg,
The layer going to be
Estás
textured
atento al video.
immediately upon getting his first 100 gas. JAEDONG probably wanting to go up to that spire quite quickly once again. And I expect for BISU to go into Corsairs also.
We have that cybernetics core about halfway done. It should be noted that the main for each player is very large. Now that means that Zerg can do big drops in there later on in the game. It also means, just like we saw in game number 2, you can sneak a DT in there with a shuttle. The Zerg might not be ready.
Yeah, and it's important to notice that actually BISU, his natural expanding route into that third base, is kind of behind JAEDONG's main, so he can very easily shuttle over things like Dark Templars to an area that isn't very important for JAEDONG other than the fact he can be hurt there.
Okay, the probe is now chased back. This is where BISU does the Zealot pressure. Now, it can be easily misled to a casual observer that the Zealot's going to come all the way across the map. Not necessarily. Simply the threat of the Zealot makes the Zerg make more links. And if you're making links, you're not making drones. So this is smart. Of course, JAEDONG can try to take the risk of not doing that, but BISU's pretty good at having a read on this. Now, it seems like BISU almost overextended here as he's now getting zoned back out. I don't actually know if the Zealot can get back. This would be a big catch here for JAEDONG if he gets in.
This sniper right there, and JAEDONG picks it off, not losing a link until just right then. And you know, normally a Zealot is actually a match for 4 links, so a bit of a mistake here from BISU, but not something that's likely to cost him the game at this point.
So Corsairs are being produced, and they'll be continuously produced here. And it looks like most likely this is going to be Corsair with a lot of Zealots to back it up. And this is, I think, a smart move, especially, even though it's fairly common, especially on this map, you can get Zealots easily in and out of your base while still having a fairly tight wall and keeping the pressure on the Zerg, and then eventually taking a third base with Zergs in a defensive posture.
Right now, that Spire is about to finish, so we should see some Scourge coming out, trying to push back those Corsairs that'll be hunting Overlords and scouting what JAEDONG is up to. Does find one here in the center of the map, so that's going to be a quick and easy kill here for BISU.
The other Overlord down here at the bottom left is being tucked away and hidden. JAEDONG hoping that if it is found, it'll be found much later in this game. And JAEDONG's now supply blocked. BISU is itching to try to get in the main. You want to get confirmation on what the tech is. In this case, it's a Spire. In fact, BISU needs to be careful because if he gets there right when his Scourge comes out, he'll lose that Corsair.
Losing that first one can be very painful. There's those 4 Scourge we were talking about before, so he's got to make sure to get this home, get it over some cannons, and make sure he continues to produce a few more Corsairs.
The Robo Bay is coming up, which is an interesting choice of tech at this point in time. I was actually anticipating many more gateways being made here. Instead, we only have a second gateway being made, and it's a Templar Archives that he's getting. I'm wondering what he's got in store for us. Keep in mind, the Corsairs are scouting the main. They have not yet seen that Robo, so this may look all par for the course in an ordinary PvZ to JAEDONG.
You know, I really like that Robo, to be honest, Tasteless. Like we were talking about before, DT drops can be really, really deadly, and the back of JAEDONG's main base faces BISU. It's a very short distance for him to fly and try to get some serious damage done.
The 4 Zealots come out here. Now, JAEDONG may be already raising an eyebrow at this, saying, oh, that's not enough Zealots. This seems a little bit strange. You're pushing out a little bit too quickly right now. And this is keeping the pressure on. And if you see that small number of Zealots, that tells you, as a Zerg player, that he has to have invested his money somewhere else. In this case, it's going to be that tech with the Robo.
Right, a big amount of Zerglings coming out, surrounding a lot of these Zealots. Great micro from BISU as he kind of stutter steps back a bit here, getting a lot of hits off on the Zerglings, but eventually he will lose all these Zealots.
Really good training there by BISU. A good catch though by JAEDONG at the very end, thinning that Zealot count down to just 2, both in the red. Can we get a shot of the Robo here? I want to see if the tech has actually started out from that yet. He has the shuttle, and I'm assuming there are DTs in there.
Yeah, I would imagine that he has to have at least a DT here to go and harass with. It looks like those Corsairs, yep, they go over and clean up any Scourge that are waiting for this. Now, will JAEDONG be ready for this?
I think certainly no. The question though is also, will BISU be ready at the front of his base as a lot of Lings and Hydras are gearing up for an attack?
Oh my gosh, almost no cannons up there at the front, but the 2 TTs getting into the main base here of JAEDONG. A lot of damage sure to happen on both sides.
No Overlord in the main. One coming up now to the natural. Meanwhile, at the entrance, only one cannon is complete. No zealots. The Hydras and Lynx continue to push in. This may be too much. I don't know if JAEDONG
Le duele a GG, creo. Para BISU.
Very sharp attack right here, bringing up some Overlords as well, so this DT should not be able to hold on against everything. A huge amount of Hydras.
Una gran pérdida y bastante cantidad de granizos.
And I believe JAEDONG should be able to take
Tiene
this
con
game.
qué
The probes
protegerse.
are being evacuated. It looks like there's no way to stop this.
GG.
BISU
Tercero.
loses game number 2. JAEDONG is the
Nivel de
victor
desempate, muchachos.
with that
Vamos a ver
second
qué
win.
pasa.
We're now
Down and play a big macro game.
Muy bien.
Yeah, we have not really gotten to a late game PvZ here, Artosis. Let's see if this
A ver
game
qué sucede.
is going to be the one. In the upper right, in the red, our Zerg player, he is JAEDONG!
Qué dolor de bolas para BISU, en serio, en la partida anterior.
And his opponent here in the bottom right, our Protoss player, makes some noise for BISU!
Our map going to be Circuit Breaker, a big 4-player map with just a ton of expansions all over it. Definitely could be a good one to have one of these big macro games on. But it looks here like we have a pretty reasonably quick pool.
Oh wow, look at that. Although BISU's going to scout it. Fortune on BISU's side right now. This is what we call a 9 pool. One of the older builds. Okay, he's going to do the extractor trick with that. There's a couple variations of this. But getting that spawning pool out right away. And this is actually, it can be pretty scary. The Protoss does not get to play a easy-going early PvZ.
Yeah.
You have to be ready for Lings right off the bat. And, you know, I got to say, BISU was very fortunate to actually scout this right away. Had this been the last location that BISU scouted, this game might look very different.
Yeah, sometimes you can't just straight up die to a Zergling rush. You know, he's going to have to make some cannons here before his Nexus and try to keep this probe alive so you can see how many Zerglings are being made, because that is a really crucial piece of information.
That's right. Of course, even though the Nexus is up later, the drone count is overall a little bit lower here. Although,
Inició con la
as you look
expansión
at this
nuestro
game,
amigo
actually,
JAEDONG. Muy
this is a
bien.
cool little trick he did. He only made 2 links.
Yeah,
This is actually very smart. So a lot of times people will make all the links, but since he
BISU
realizes,
se está
okay, you already know
atrasando
what
un
I'm
poco.
doing, but you don't know what's inside the
Está
eggs that they're
atrasando un
making.
poquitín.
He only gets 2 links, the bare minimum, to chase that away. Now his hatchery has started before the Protoss' Nexus.
Yeah, not too bad of an outcome right there. You see some of these mind games taking place between these 2 old rivals. Of course, BISU staying on top of his probe micro for the time being. Checking out, when are you going to take that gas? Are you going to throw it on the 3rd hatch? And the answer to both is yes.
So, the probe continuing to scout around now. With the 3 hatches coming up, this could be a pretty standard game here from JAEDONG. Again, with the Protoss, we want to see what is that tech going to be. Seeing just 2 links alone tells the Protoss you don't have to be that afraid of Zerglings, at least not for now. So he has the 1 bare minimum cannon that can easily hold off 2 links. Then he'll get his gateway and his gas and begin to tech up.
Now, did BISU lose his scouting probe actually once again? It looks like he did.
I believe so, yes.
This is where it can get a little bit more hairy for BISU. If JAEDONG, for instance, were to just make Zerglings for the next few rounds of Larva, he'd get a lot of them, and if you don't block the holes in this wall or add another cannon, that's a situation where JAEDONG may be able to run in, kill your cannon, kill the pylon, get a big advantage. But it doesn't look like that's necessarily what's going to happen.
Well, I mean, with the 1 probe, that's the only probe now that's moving out on the map again. We have some more links being brought in here. I mean, JAEDONG's very good at masking stuff like this. You have to keep that in mind.
El atajo del mojo.
And anything he can hide. See, there's only 2 links being shown here. And now 4.
Sees 4 total. The other ones are actually running away from the probe right now. So JAEDONG is massing those lings. And if the probe doesn't see this coming, there's a big chance BISU won't block against this.
He might have just completely gone around. I think BISU senses it. His zealot's going back.
Zealot sees those lings coming down. He's going to have to pull probes up into the wall as well. He has to clog every single hole. He cannot let these lings in. Don't forget, all these lings could have been drones for JAEDONG. So to have these lings and not do damage is damage to JAEDONG.
That's right. It seems like there's no way that BISU's going to be broken here. A completely tight wallet with probes being made throughout the game. And he's going to try, it looks like, to dive on that one zealot, but that certainly is not going to work.
Oh, he's trying to break through these probes right now, and he has a ton of lings just funneling down. Can he break through? A second cannon comes up. I don't think this is going to work out for JAEDONG.
It seems like JAEDONG is trying to all in, trying to take out that one probe in the corner, but with a second cannon and another zealot out. This seems to be a possibility. This may cost JAEDONG in the game.
That is a lot of circlings that have done a lot of nothing here so far. Another probe gets up into the main base. He can start looking at these drone counts, realizing how many links. Oh my god, links still being made here in the main. BISU is going to understand that the only thing he must do is stay alive.
Yeah, any more cannons.
Persiste en ingresar como sea con el Zerling. Aunque le falta la habilidad de la pata todavía, no, ya tiene ya la habilidad, ¿no? De velocidad para el Zerling. El primer corsario a minuto 05 con 40. Intenta como sea ingresar. Se rindió.
BISU will take the series 3-2.
That last game, he tried to outmaneuver that probe and surprise BISU, but BISU was ready. He sensed that something was wrong, and that means BISU is the victor in this series. That was a fantastic save between these two guys.
You know, BISU really started to play a little bit more defensively there at the end. JAEDONG trying to trick him back and forth several times, maneuvering his lanes around, but BISU getting just enough scouting intel to stay alive.
JAEDONG never able to exhibit his skill in late game. Each of these games ended in early game or right around mid game, right when the third base became important. Really cool to see these guys come all the way out here and also to exhibit Starcraft Remastered, a fantastic game. The original esport, the game that started it all.
It truly is, and these guys continue to play it out in South Korea, professionally on TV, having great matches all the time. Definitely hope to be seeing them a lot more in the future as well.
Absolutely. So many competitions here.
Bueno muchachos, ha sido un placer estar aquí con ustedes, con el vídeo. Gracias por acompañarme. Cualquier cosa, apóyenme con un like por favor para seguir subiendo este material. Y dejen en la caja comentarios si desean hacer un stream conmigo para un versus. Enhorabuena. Hago constantemente, interdiario más que todo, subo. Mañana voy a hacer stream, si gustan, me pasan la voz por la caja de comentarios y los voy a tomar en cuenta. Listo amigos, gracias por participar, gracias por estar aquí presentes. A continuación, a ver el reconocimiento para BISU.
The ultimate title fight winner. 일단 축하드리고요. 오늘 김태규 선수의 생일이라고 들었는데 생일 선물로 2만 불이랑 이 쇼매치 승자가 된 기분이 어떤지 좀 설명해 주세요.
저도 미국에서 이렇게 생일 파티 할 줄 몰랐고요. 좀 그런 기념일이라 오늘 이기고 싶었거든요. 근데 뭐 게임이 좀 뭔가 처음에 이길 뻔했는데 그 다음에 이제 질 뻔해가지고 나중에 이제 5경기 가서는 이거 좀 분위기 안 좋다 생각했는데 뭐 마지막에 좀 제동이가 공격적으로 해줘가지고 잘 막아가지고 이긴 것 같고요. 오늘 많이 이런 큰 자리에 오니까 좀 긴장이 많이 되는데 아무튼 기분이 좋네요.
So he says, I definitely did not know that I would be celebrating a birthday party like this in America with you guys. Coming into today's ultimate title fight match against JAEDONG, I really wanted to win because it was my birthday.
Habla bien el inglés la chinita.
So well, so I thought I would easily win, but then later on I started to lose, so I started to feel a little bit nervous. But in that fifth game, I think the reason I was able to win was JAEDONG came at me aggressively, and I was able to defend, and that's why I was able to win. And when it comes to being here on this main stage in front of all you guys, I definitely felt the nerves, but at the same time, I'm just so happy that I was able to win. And last but not least, BISU, I know that mainly you've played your career almost entirely in Korea. What is the feeling like playing in front of this completely different audience here in America? 일단 선수 생활을 거의 한국에서만 했는데 이 해외 팬들 앞에서 게임하는 기분이 어떠세요? 뭐가 다르세요?
뭔가 열기 자체가 달라가지고 좀 한국도 열정적이긴 한데 외국의 그 열정은 좀 못 따라가는 것 같고요. 원래는 좀 올까 고민을 많이 했는데 동기부여를 좀 갖기 위해서 이 블리즈컨 리마스터 매치에 나오게 됐습니다.
So he said, honestly, when it comes to the fans here, the passion is just so overwhelming. That being said, of course, the Korean fans are passionate as well, but I think that they can't keep up with the passion of you guys. So it's really great that I was able to come, because I was initially not even sure if I wanted to, but I'm really glad that I was able to come for this Starcraft Remastered show match. And of course, JAEDONG, I need to speak to you as well. You spent a lot of time playing both in Korea and in America. What is it like to play in front of this foreign audience once again? 이재동 선수 한국에서도 생활 많이 해왔고 해외 팬들 앞에서도 많은 게임을 해봤는데 또 다시 한번 이 해외 팬들 앞에서 게임하는 기분이 어떠세요?
일단 굉장히 영광이고요. 쇼매치를 하게 돼서, 그리고 이번이 마지막 해외 그런 경기가 될 것 같아서 그냥 즐기는 마음으로 왔고, 팬분들께서도 많이 즐거우셨으면 좋겠습니다.
Well, first of all, it's an absolute honor to be able to have played in this Starcraft Remastered show match for you guys. I think this is actually going to be my last time being able to play Starcraft overseas, so I really hope that you guys were able to enjoy it, because I do think it is my last time. And last but not least, it is time to get the prize ceremony underway. So please welcome on stage the lead producer for Starcraft Remastered, Pete Stillwell.
Muy bien. Bueno, muchachos, nos vemos hasta el próximo video. Cuídense y saludos a la gente. A seguir practicando, a ponerle mucho empeño. Saludos.